Ow, hot. Hi guys, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Loved Knits, and today, as you can probably guess, well, maybe you can't see all the things around me, but we're doing a knitting podcast. Another chatty video just to talk through some of the things that I've been working on, some things that I finished, and any yarn acquisitions that I have. I like to do these every once in a while, every couple of videos, maybe like it comes into once a month, so that, we just sit down, chat for a little while, and hopefully you have some of your knitting and a hot beverage. Mine is very hot, so I'm going to put it aside for now because I like to actually drink my tea when it's basically room temperature. It is the end of October, the very last day of October, the same day that this video is supposed to go live. I have been, I've been well, but I got a really bad cold the last week and a half or so. Last week I was getting better, but the week previously, so that's why I didn't post a video last weekend. I was just way too sick and I just did not sound very nice. Very congested, stuffy. I had a huge head cold. That's really what it was. No fever or anything like that, but it did really just weigh me down, really demotivated me. So I'm very thankful to be feeling a lot better today. Been drinking a lot of tea, making sure that I'm very hydrated and getting a lot of sleep. So I'm sorry for not making it last week for the video, but that's why today we're doing a little bit of a podcast. I have been able to finish one thing that has been on my needles for quite a long time, and I'm wearing it today. So I guess that's the first thing that I'll start out with. So this is the vest that I've been working on. Well, it had a lot of different possibilities. I completely was just going with the flow with this one, wasn't following anything. I had in mind multiple different outcomes with this project. So really this project started because I wanted to destash some yarn that I had been holding on to for a really long time. It is the Noro sock yarn, garden silk sock yarn, Noro garden silk sock yarn in the 01 colorway. Here's some leftover right here. And I had bought this a long time ago. It was early 2020. And I was gonna make the terrazzo sweater by Petite Knit, which is what she used to make the sample for that sweater. And I absolutely love that sweater. It is so beautiful. But the thing that made me not go forward to knit the sweater or just put it on hold, the project, was that I was at the time knitting a lot of turtlenecks. So that year or around that time frame, I made the sweater number 9, the caramel sweater by Petite Knit. I think there was one more. Anyway, it was a lot of finished objects that were turtlenecks. So I was thinking that maybe I should find something else for it because I was starting to get too many turtlenecks in my wardrobe. I don't know why I got that feeling because I don't think I can ever have too many turtlenecks in my wardrobe, but you know what I mean. I wanted to work on something different, and that's how this just got put into my stash and just kind of forgotten about. Or not even forgotten about, it was the special yarn to me that was just so unique, and I really just didn't know what else to do with it. So the terrazzo sweater was out. I didn't really know what to do with it. So then I was just like, okay, I need to make something with this yarn. It can't just go sitting in there. It's been in there for a year, way too long. So what can I make? And that's how this was created in my head. I got started with the mind to make a V-neck sweater. I was thinking it was going to be a long sleeve sweater. And again, kind of just going with the flow. I have a classic V-neck vest pattern that I was loosely following, so the construction of the neckline is very similar to that. However, in comparison to that pattern, this was knit using 5mm needles, and that pattern I think uses 10 and 9mm needles. So I used 5mm for the body and then 4.5 for the ribbing. And this is constructed top down. So I started with just the top of the back and then picked up stitches along the front to begin to shape the V-neck using increases. So that's what creates this like nice seamless V-neck here. Whereas if you did from the bottom up, you would see the decreases, like when you knit two together and SSK, those little lines show up. So to prevent that, I did it from the top down with increases. So to me, it just comes a little bit more seamless, and I really like that look for me. In a couple of podcast episodes ago, I was talking about, okay, I don't really know what I want to do here. So I asked you guys for your opinion, and everyone was saying vest, vest, vest. And I was on the fence because I didn't know if I needed another vest in my wardrobe. I really wanted to do a short sleeve in my head because also I wasn't sure how much yarn that I had left over, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't playing yarn chicken or that I had enough to finish what I actually wanted. That's why I think I had been sitting for too long on this project. But anyway, I just decided that I was gonna do ribbing on the side, so some 2x2 ribbing. And I actually constructed it in the exact same way that I did my V-neck right here. So I have a video on that. If you're curious about how to knit in 2x2 rib for a V-neck, this mitered V right here, there's a video for that. And I basically used that technique and did the armholes right here. So the ribbing along the arms. And what I really love about this is that I almost got my short sleeve here, because it looks more like a short sleeve to me than it does a vest. And that's a combination of how deep the V-neck is. And then also I think the way that I did the ribbing on the arm openings, that kind of lends itself to a little bit of a sleeve. And I'm really happy with it. The only thing that I think I will go back and do later, someone suggested this actually. So I don't know if I'm brave enough to do it, but someone suggested that I, cut just above the bottom ribbing right here. So the only thing about this top that is not my favorite is how short the torso is. I got really impatient, honestly. I was too impatient and I miscalculated the length. I started doing the ribbing way too soon. So then to compensate for that, I ended up doing a really thick ribbing at the bottom, which I love. I really love this thick ribbing, but I do kind of wish that the torso was a little bit longer. The jeans that I'm wearing today are perfect for this top because they're super high-waisted jeans. But not all of my jeans are high-waisted to this level. They're more like, just a regular high rise or a midi length. So these pants are probably the only ones that I could really wear with this, or some skirts, but I don't have any skirts that really match this. So my solution could be, if I am brave enough, I'll do a lifeline, throw in a lifeline, and then do a cut in between and lengthen on each side and somehow join together. I know it's possible. I've seen knitters do this before, but I don't know where to start, and I need to do a lot of research first before I do that. So for now, this is probably the only outfit I can wear with this top until it gets a little bit warmer outside, but that's not until next year. So this would be a really perfect spring top, but I kind of like the way it looks with the turtleneck. Maybe I think it's cute. So it gives me some like retro vibes, definitely, because this yarn is so multicolored. I feel like I've seen this like in the 70s or something, some kind of top. I think that this would go really well in that era. So I'm really happy with that. I have a lot more yarn left over than I had imagined, which I might just give away to somebody on Instagram. I think I might be doing a little bit of a de-stash on my stories very soon, so go follow me over there if you're interested in this yarn or maybe some other yarn that I will be giving away for very cheap, if not free. Love it when an experiment works out. So it was just a lot of fun to get creative, not really have any real expectations. It was almost like a mystery knit, if that makes sense. Just kind of seeing how it goes, problem solving where I didn't do calculations or whatever. And I think in all, it turned out really nice. And yeah. So the next thing that I finished recently is this collared cardigan. I actually have a whole video dedicated to it. So if you haven't already seen it, go check that out, because I talk about the making process of this cardigan, and I do a little tutorial on how you can pick up stitches and knit your own folded collar on basically any basic cardigan pattern out there. And the example pattern that I used was in partnership with Bellish, so I used the Bellish app. I'm not going to go into too many details about it here. You can go watch that video to learn a little bit more about Bellish. But I do want to talk about some of the mods that I made in case you might make it yourself. So the yarn that I used is by We Are Knitters. It's their petite wool. So it's a little bit chunkier than the yarn that's typically recommended for Bellish patterns. They don't really have one for this weight of yarn. So what I did was use the pattern that is recommended for DK weight yarn, which it was recommending 4 to 5 millimeter needles. And I ended up using an 8 millimeter needle. And the reason I was okay with that is because I wanted it to be a very oversized fit. That's why I used the really large needles, because I really wanted that dramatic drop shoulder and yeah, just like really slouchy look. So I knew that following the same steps of the pattern that's typically recommended for smaller needles in my normal size was going to achieve this fit. And anyway, it was all about playing around, because that's what I really like to do, kind of experiment. And since I was following a pattern to the T, I was open to experimenting a little bit more with the gauge. So using those thicker needle sizes to create this really oversized look, that was a lot of fun to do. And then I just picked up stitches along the collar here and then knit and garter stitch for this collar, which I really love as well. Here, let me try and put this on. So yes, as you can see, nice and slouchy. Yeah, nice and slouchy. Love the folded collar. There's a pocket on one side. This one, kind of a fail. I didn't really like how I did the pocket, but in all my defense, I had never knit a pocket before, so not too bad. I shortened the sleeves, obviously, because otherwise they were going to be super oversized, but I'd followed the decreases and so on. And I just made some modifications to the length, but the stitch count for the width and the body and the sleeves, all the same. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's fun. Again, it was a fun experiment to kind of, get all these. It was fun to experiment and to knit this folded collar right here and show you guys how to do it as well, because I don't have a collared cardigan in my closet. So this is definitely needed, and it's definitely kept me warm, especially when I was sick the last weeks. I really was just living in this cardigan. It was just keeping me so warm and cozy, and I really appreciated having it. So again, I love the 2x2 rib on this piece. I used a really small needle. I want to say it was 6 millimeter needles to knit the ribbing for this, which made it really cinch in nicely at the waist. And I just love 2x2 rib. Can you tell? I'm really into it right now. I'm using it almost on every sweater that I'm working on. So I really love that thick, chunky rib. And it's just fun to knit. So I love this color. I went into detail about this in the last podcast. This is We Are Knitters petite wool and forest green. I had 6 balls and I used all 6. So this sweater uses 6 balls of the petite wool. I love the color. It's really great. It's gonna be perfect for Christmas. And yeah, it's very hot, very warm. Yeah, so these 2 are my latest finished objects, which I think is fair enough. I've been working hard behind the scenes, knitting up some other things as well, so my time has been pretty split between projects, so I'm pretty happy with that progress in the last couple of weeks. Okay, I'm drinking chamomile tea with honey. It's something that I'm just so in love with lately. It's so comforting and so nice to drink. Right. So I feel like I just have to bring this one up to keep me accountable. It's my sock that I'm chugging away on. I'm still working on it. I just finished the heel. I did a pretty crappy job, to be honest. So this is the second sock of a pair of everyday socks by Petite Knit, and I'm using Woolly Mammoth Fiber Company wool and stargazing. I almost poked my eye out. And oh gosh, this is just taking me way too long. These are like my commuting, this is my commuting project. So it's like, I don't work on it a lot at home, which is why it's taking me a really long time. Also, I think I'm done using DPNs. I think I am going to find some circulars that are suitable for socks because DPNs are slowing me down, and I also think that they are hurting my hands a little bit. They hurt my fingers a lot to knit with. So, and they just slow me down because you have to switch through, you have to make sure you switch like this, insert, making sure that everything is nice and tight, that you don't have any running stitches in between, and then you keep working, and then I'm like kind of almost killing everybody on the train, poking everybody, because we're all sitting close to each other in the subway, in the metro. It's just, no. I mean, they're fun to knit with, and I really like DPNs for some reason. I feel like it makes me look like a very professional knitter. I feel like it's just impressive to work with DPNs. So that's why I've kind of been like pushing it and like forcing myself to learn it. And it's not so bad, okay? But I know I could knit so much faster than this if I had the circulars. So then maybe these socks wouldn't be on my needles for so long. So that is probably a Christmas gift I am going to ask for, because I don't know if I'll even finish these by Christmas. No, I'm gonna finish them by Christmas. But it's just, I'm gonna be very excited to have these socks. They're super cute. I love this color. You guys know I love purple. So I'm really excited to put these on my feet. The thing is, it's just so dang hard to knit with them. You know, knit them up and then also find the time to do it. Because smaller needles, I don't gravitate towards smaller needles. So if I have some minutes to knit, I'm not going to take these with me. These are just the ones that I take with me if I'm going somewhere that I'll be on the metro, on the train, so that I have something to do besides looking at my phone. These are really just the distractor from me looking at my phone. So if I feel like I want to look at my phone instead, I'm going to look at my phone instead. So that's probably why these aren't getting as much love and attention. And to be honest, the German short rows really like hung me up for a little bit. I don't know what it is, because after I knit German short rows, it's like no big deal, but when I have to, I kind of put it off, if that makes sense, like the heels. And it's because I forget each time. I just don't do it enough to remember. So a couple of things that I'm going to do for my next sock project. It's going to be not doing the German short rows. I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset instead for my next sock. And I'm going to use circulars. So yeah, I'm going to have circular needles for my socks, and I'm not going to do German short rows for the heel. And I might even try to knit 2 at a time for my next project, because maybe then I will be a lot more motivated and finish them in a decent time instead of getting discouraged after doing the one sock. I have so much respect for people who don't give up after the first sock. I'm trying so hard, but it's amazing compared to the first sock how much time this one is taking. Because I knit the first sock, I want to say, in like 2-3 weeks. And this one, it's been like a month and a half, I want to say. So, already a month and a half. So I haven't even finished it yet. It's taken me a month and a half. So yeah. What else to say? I mean, I really like these DPNs. They're nice. They're like nice quality. I think they're Knit Pro. And I really love, they're like a nice, pretty wood. And they're really sturdy. Oh no, yeah, Prim and Knit Pro. They're very sturdy. They're nice needles. They're just not very fun. They're fun to knit with, but they're also a hassle. So I don't know. I have mixed emotions about them. So yes, my next knitting project, my next sock will definitely be 2 socks at a time, heel flap and gusset, and on circular needles. So say goodbye to these. But yeah, my goal is for the end of November to have this sock done and blocked so that I can wear them. So hopefully in the next knitting podcast, they will be finished. Yes. So that's a project that's just, I'm holding myself accountable. I really need to finish that up. The one that I have been working on the most diligently is this one right here. This is the second version of my seamless mock neck sweater. So in my last knitting podcast episode, I showed the finished version of the seamless mock neck sweater and also some yarn that was going to be the second version. And I still have it here, guys. So I did not manage to return it. It's still here. I have enough to make a sweater. It will not be accepted if I try and return it. So I'm going to knit something else with it. But in the meantime, I did get a better color. So last time I was talking about how I was thinking, okay, for the sample, I potentially want to film the process again and share a little bit more in depth on some of the techniques that I use. Because I feel like with the last video, I was more just showing myself making it, but not really breaking down the steps too much. Maybe that's just my impression. This time, I was hoping that I would be a little bit more thorough in my video. And that's why I ended up getting this yarn, because I knew it was going to be easy to film and you would be able to see all the stitches and everything. But like I was saying last time, what I really wanted was a darker sweater, more charcoal. But then I saw this brown, this chocolatey brown, and it's really pretty. I really like it, and I think it'll be really nice to wear. Again, I don't have, okay, that's a lie. I have only one other dark brown sweater, and that's my cozy mock neck sweater. So it's good that I will have this one because it is much lighter of a sweater, not as chunky. Still super warm though. One thing, even trying this on, the yoke of this on, it's really warm. So this is going to be a very warm sweater. It's, so I've got the yoke so far. So it's not charcoal, but it's this really beautiful dark chocolate color, and I really love it. I think it is working into a very beautiful sweater. So again, this is Drops Andes. This is the uni color. And this was the mix. So there's 2 different types. There's one like the mix is supposed to be, it's not as uniform as the unicolor. So this one is a very uniform dyed skein. So yeah, it's just really one color. I don't know why this one is the mix though, because there's really no variation in this one either. But in some of the other colorways, I did notice there was some variation. So yeah, this gonna be interesting because I don't personally think that this is gonna look very great on me. So I'm gonna have to get creative and figure out how I can work with this yarn. Maybe it will be a gift for somebody else. That might be a good option. But I'm very happy with this one as a substitute. And yes, it's pretty dark, but hopefully the stitch definition is good enough so that while I'm filming it, and I'm currently in the process of filming it, everything is visible for somebody who might be following for a tutorial. Right, so back to the sweater. It's just the yoke right now. So I finished knitting the yoke just yesterday, and I joined underneath the armpits. So now we have little armholes right here. And yeah, this is the back, this is the front. So yeah, this is how she's looking so far. I really like this brown. I think it's really beautiful. So I'm knitting this one along with my testers. So it's been really great to receive feedback from them. I've gotten so much valuable feedback that's really gonna help change the outcome of this sweater and make it as great as possible, as perfect as possible. And yeah, a couple of things that I've already incorporated into this. So the main change that I think I'm doing for the yoke is casting off the 2 raglan stitches at the end and then separating the front and back panel. So previously I divided the raglan stitches for the front and the back, but I am noticing with the former, so when I separated the 2 stitches, it just made it very obvious where the sleeve is picked up from the body, and there's like this little pinch from the sleeve that's hopefully going to be fixed with giving it just a little bit more room. So casting off these 2 stitches will give a little bit more room so that maybe there's not that pinch. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like one little stitch from the sleeve just poking out a little bit, and it kind of just makes it look a little less uniform as I would like. So I'm gonna test that out and see, and if it works, I'm gonna write it into the final pattern. And then the other thing that I plan on doing is adding some more shaping to the bottom. So I'm hoping to create something a little bit more cinched in at the waist than the previous version. I liked the relaxed fit, but also would be nice, I think, to do a little bit of shaping so that it's not so boxy. But it just depends on your taste. It's something that I'm looking into changing. So the only thing that I will say, and maybe I'll do a full video on it, compared to the Al Pacino Merino that I knit with the first sample, this one, there's a lot more texture to this Andes yarn. I don't know if you can notice, but yeah, there's just a lot of texture here. And I don't know how much I like it in comparison to the other version. I will have to do a comparison side by side because I guess it's hard to really express what I mean when you don't see them side by side. But there's just a lot more twist to this yarn, I think, which makes it a little bit more textured. Very excited for it to be released very soon. So the deadline for my testers is November 15th. And I think it's gonna take me about a week or 2 to really finalize the pattern, make sure everything is good to go, and then release it. So keep an eye out mid-November for that. I might have more information over on Instagram. So an update on another sweater design is over here. I just took it off the needles actually so that I could kind of have a better idea of how it's looking right now. I really love the back. You can really see the texture and everything that I'm going for. So this is the collared cardigan, moss stitch cardigan that I am currently working on. It was a design idea that I had in my head that I just wanted to get out and work up. And I'm using, Mayflower. Oh man. So it's here. I think this is Mayflower wool. I know I said something completely different in the last knitting podcast episode, but I think it's Mayflower. So I'm using this unidentified gray wool knit together with the fuzzy yarn by We Are Knitters, which was kindly gifted to me. And I'm knitting them together to create this really nice fabric here. So let me just bring it a little closer. That's how it's looking so far. So it is a raglan style cardigan. And I'm doing moss stitch on the body and then stockinette for the sleeves. And you can see that I had started with this really dramatic 3x3 ribbed collar, which is kind of just acting like a cape. It's gonna just flop to the back. One thing that I did learn from my other collared cardigan that I was working on is I need to do some increases at the edges to really make it come forward, because otherwise this collar, now here's what it looks like in the front. This collar is just going straight back. So I think while if it was on, it would look something like this. So it might just sit up, kind of Dracula vibes a little bit. I think that's kind of what it would look like. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, it's cute. It's cute. But I'm not sure if that's exactly what I was going for, because I wanted it to be just a little bit more visible at the front. So like really like this. And I don't think I'm getting that because I didn't do any increases at the front right here. So this one I really had to just stop working on because I noticed a mistake in my moss stitch, which really sucks, right here. And I don't know how to, I can't really fix it except for going back. So it's right there. I don't know if you can tell. But I forgot to increase at one of the rows. So I was increasing every other row and I forgot to do one increase at this stitch right here, at this raglan point. And that's kind of just messed up the entire moss stitch pattern. So now it's just doing this weird, like stockinette type look just at the side. The thing about moss stitch is it is very forgiving, so you can't really tell at a distance, but I'm noticing it as I work, and that's just gonna be really annoying as it will repeat the whole way. So I've kind of doomed myself into this. Oh, hopefully you can see that. I have to go back. There's no other way to fix it. It's not like it will naturally fix itself. With some patterns it would, but no. Since I have missed a stitch, it's not following the right pattern. So I will need to go back. So I'm thinking about throwing in a lifeline. But at the same time, I'm wondering if I should just start all over if I'm not too happy with how the collar looks at the moment. A lot of different thoughts here. I love the moss stitch. This is really beautiful. I'm really loving this texture right now. It looks like diamonds. It's very pretty. And with the combination of these two yarns, I think it's just a little subtle, but looks really good. it's a pretty interesting piece, and it's just really neutral, and I think it's going to go with a lot, while at the same time having some really interesting features to the piece. But I didn't want to go too crazy, and I think I might have played it on the safe side too much. I'm not sure. Because I decided to do the sleeves in stockinette right here. I knew I was going to love this moss stitch, but I didn't know if I wanted it throughout the entire piece. So then I decided, okay, the sleeves will be in stockinette. And then I have like these really big raglan stitches. So a 3 knit raglan stitch right here. So there's 3 stitches here. And then the front has this really nice thick stockinette border. It's an I-cord border. So it'll give off like a really nice finish on the edge, which kind of detracts away from the moss stitch. So I'm wondering if it's even noticeable, or do I like that really subtle texture? I have mixed feelings about it. But since I have to go back, I really need to think it through, because I'm going to have to go back anyway, so do I want to start it all over? That's really my big question to myself. But now that I took it off the needles, because I put it on a spare string, because I wanted to show you guys what it kind of looks like on the hanger. I know it's really not much at all, but I think it's still cute, and it gives me a better idea of how it would look potentially. Yeah, so many things to decide. I really do kind of wish that this would come forward a lot more. And maybe it will. Maybe now is not even if it is on the hanger, it won't show maybe exactly how it's going to work up. And it's cool. I like it. I just don't know how much I like it and if it's worth changing. What I could do though is throw in a couple of lifelines. So I'm obviously going to throw in a lifeline to rip back here to fix that weird, that missing stitch. Then what I was also thinking, because I'm not 100% sure about the collar, what I could do when the piece is all finished is throw in another lifeline and then cut this off and reknit it. Talking about throwing in lifelines a lot as if I do it all the time, I've never done it before. So that would be very interesting. But I think I'm ready. I think I'm at that point in my knitting career that I can successfully throw in and fix something with a lifeline. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think. What you think of this piece so far. I just think it would be a really cute jacket. Alternatively, this is also making me want to knit like a really thick turtleneck with all in moss stitch. But I think that's just going to have to be another design entirely with different yarn, because now that this is on the hanger, I think it's cute. I think it will be really nice. Kind of casual, goes with a lot maybe. I could just throw it on to stay warm no matter what I'm wearing. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this piece so far. I think it's a lot of fun. The moss stitch is definitely staying. Definitely got to knit up something in moss stitch, but curious if you guys have any tips about like the collar right here. And then maybe let me know what you think about the sleeves stockinette stitch, or did I play it too safe? We will find out. Right. Okay. So now I guess we can go into acquisitions. So last time I was talking about how I have too much yarn, so I'm not going to do a lot of acquisitions, and that is true. I did a very good job these last couple of weeks, and I haven't really ordered any more yarn, okay, besides the Andes and one other, but this is for a specific project that I didn't already have yarn for. I really couldn't shop my stash. And that is a boucle bucket hat. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I love boucle yarn. I used this same combination to knit a boucle version of my sable sweater. And that's just one of my favorite sweaters that I have in my closet. It is so comfortable, so cozy, so soft. And I just love this combination of yarn together. And I've been having my eye on this. I wanted to do knit something like this up weeks ago, but the yarn was out of stock. So I have 2 skeins of Alpaca Boucle by Drops Design, and 1 skein of Alpaca Mix in the same matching color. So it took ages for this to come back in stock. I was also looking at a tan version, but honestly, everybody must have wanted to knit something in boucle, which is why this was out of stock maybe. But it was in stock a couple of days ago and I ordered it and it already arrived. Love that. And this is what the combination is going to be. So I'm using all 3 of these skeins knit together, and I want to knit a little hat. You guys know, I'm sure you know, that bucket hats have gotten back into style. I might be very late on this trend, but I was really just trying to make my mind up about bucket hats. At the start, I really don't think that they're that cute. But they've grown on me, and a boucle version I think would be just amazing for fall. So I wanted to give it a try and then potentially even create a tutorial for you guys on how to do it or how I do it. And maybe you could also replicate that too. So that's the idea. I think it would be a really quick project to do for a gift. So leading up to Christmas, if you have any gifts that you want to knit up for people, potentially this would be a good one. So I'm also going to see how quick I can knit it up, because I really think it would be just a really short project, or at least how I have it in my head, how to construct it wouldn't take very long. And this sample, so I've already knit up a sample, is knit with 9mm needles. So since I'm using 3 strands, I can get away with some pretty thick needles, which will make this a very quick project to do. So here's what it looks like all knit up. Is it in focus? I can't tell. Okay. It's in focus now. Right. So here is what it looks like when it's all knit up in a little swatch. I think it looks super cute, super cozy, and I think 9mm with this yarn is the perfect gauge because it's nice and tight. So maybe it'll look really cute. I'm not sure how bucket hats are gonna look with my bangs, but we'll see. So this is just gonna be a fun little project to do, and I'm hoping that this will be enough. Otherwise, gonna play some yarn chicken, but I can always order more. The place where I get this from is quite fast in shipping, so I'm sure it'll be just fine. So look out for that video in a couple of weeks, maybe. Probably not next weekend, but one weekend afterwards. So very exciting, and excited to do that because I don't normally knit accessories, and I just thought it would be a different change for me. Also to knit something in boucle yarn. I love it so much. It's so cute. So yeah, that is the only thing that I have purchased in the last couple of weeks, and I'm on a roll. I'm going to keep it up. But I do have one other thing that I'm going to show as an acquisition because I was shopping my stash the other day and was reminded of the beautiful Hobby Lobby yarn that I got in the US, and I caked it up and I wanted to share it with you. It's so beautiful. When I had first got it in August, I was really thinking I was going to knit it up in October because that would be a perfect time to have a orangey red sweater. But lucky for me, these tones also work very well in November and December, so I'm going to get started on a project. I really wanted to have a seasonal sweater to knit up, but I just got distracted by all these other projects. So I'm very excited for this little combination right here. I think even in cakes, they look beautiful. They almost look more beautiful. There you can even see the different, the variegation in the yarn. There's some really beautiful like golden tones and then some very deep red colors, almost a deepish purple. And all of it together is really nice. You can see that one was caked up a little bit tighter than the other one. So I might have to work this one up first so that it doesn't stretch the yarn out too much. But what am I talking about? I'm actually going to knit with them both together. That's why I caked both of them up. Because the one here is the yarn. So this tag says that it's recommended for 2.7 millimeter needles, and I don't want to knit a sweater using that needle size. I will not finish it. I know that. So what I want to do is combine the two together, and then maybe I'll be able to knit with like 4 millimeter needles. What I have my eye on is the Colette tee by Witra Design, and it's just like a little high neck t-shirt, turtleneck t-shirt that comes down halfway down the arm, or the whatever this is. And I think I might have enough yarn for that. I guess it is kind of a risk because I'm using these held together. So we'll see. I'm going to knit a swatch first anyway to see if that needle size will work with this combination. But that is what I have planned for this yarn. And I just love the way it looks in cakes. I had a lot of fun this morning caking it up before this podcast was filmed. And it's just so soothing. I don't have a lot of hanks in my stash. I'm starting to get more and more hanks in my stash. So I still am new to the whole ball winder and swift contraption. So it's very exciting for me every time I whip it out because I don't do it a lot. So I had a lot of fun doing that today. Very excited to cast this one on. I think I will cast it on even though I have all these other projects casted on as well. Or all these projects ongoing in my mind. I mean, I did cast this off though, just recently, so finishing this one, I think gives me some room to cast on some new projects, so I'll give myself some leeway on that. So that was a good episode, I think. I'm really happy with the different projects that I'm working on right now. I think I have a good mix. I have some smaller projects, some accessories coming, and then some big ones, some design, some things that are keeping my mind very busy. And then also maybe bringing some more color into my wardrobe. Always love that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you got in a couple of rows on whatever project you're working on. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you're knitting up because I would love to hear it. I would love to get some inspiration from you guys as well. So please leave a comment and like if you like this video, and maybe even consider subscribing. I would love to have you guys stick around. I do these podcasts, like I said, once a month, but I also post videos almost weekly. I try to post videos weekly to share more knitting inspiration, some behind the scenes, the making of process of some of these sweaters, and other tutorials and things. So yeah, just knitting content in general. So if you like that, I would love to have you guys stick around. But anyway, I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a very good Sunday. Bye.